Two different track meets, two different stories. 4 titles in the last 5 championships. That's the kind of dominance the Razorbacks have displayed at NCAA indoors.
The University of Arkansas Razorback.
Fresh off another SEC crown, can anyone slow Arkansas's momentum towards a 3rd straight national crown? 5 different winners. That's been the story in the men's title over that span. It is wide open.
Who takes the hurdle title for the Red Raiders?
Will the Raiders of Texas Tech become the first school to go back-to-back in a decade? Those stories, many more, unfolding today in Virginia Beach as the nation's top athletes battle for team supremacy and 34 individual national championships. Get set for March Madness on the track. The NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships are starting right now. Virginia is for lovers, track and field lovers. We are here on a great stretch of Atlantic shoreline for the indoor meet. Virginia Beach, Virginia hosting this championship for the first time. Fastest track in the state outside of Richmond or maybe Martinsville, but those places race cars. We're here to race people. Olympians, national champions, All-Americans. We have star power. It is the 2025 NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships on ESPN. Welcome everybody to Championship Day here at Virginia Beach and their new sports complex. I am John Anderson. Individual and team titles are at stake. Both Arkansas teams, men and women, came in here ranked number 1. They are no longer the favorites, either of them, because of how they performed on day number 1. So to get through this meet takes a couple of things. First is you got to qualify a lot of people. And then, because you only take the top 16, they have to get through to the finals. And then today, finals day, they finally have to perform when it counts. The team's best position to win, now that the Hogs have kind of moved themselves out of it, USC on the men's side. Haven't won this meet since 1972. Haven't won any NCAA title since 1976. It's been 50 years since the Shield has been out front. If they win, you can bet they will sprint to the title. On the women's side, listen, if it runs like a duck and it jumps like a duck and it throws like a duck, pretty sure it is an Oregon Duck. They got all of their qualifiers, all their entries through to today, save one. So they are in great position. So I just want to tell you, it's going to be a great day here in the Hampton Roads part of Virginia, which has produced massive track and field talent. LaShawn Merritt, Michael Cherry, Francina McCrory, Michaela Rose, and of course, Olympic champion Grant Holloway, who a couple hours ago strolled by. He brought me a shirt that said he really didn't have time for an on-camera interview because he has to go to China and win a world championship or something. That to me is bupkis. I just think the guy's camera shy. We got great people on camera. We've got Lara Overton, we got Dan O'Brien, and the voice of track and field on ESPN, Dwight Stones. Gang?
All right, John, I'm sure you told him that we will welcome all spectators, especially Olympic and world champions who happen to hail from the area. Speaking of Arkansas on the men's side, they just blew up yesterday. No points in the 5,000. Didn't get nearly the people through to the final that they expected to, yet they're still in it. It's amazing the amount of people that they're able to get to this meet.
You can't count out the Hogs. They always show up. This Chris Bucknam squad will find a way. But I'll tell you what, this is getting really interesting. I think this meet is going to be decided on the straightaway and the short sprints, the 2, the 4, the hurdles, and the 60. There you see the teams. USC is in there. Texas Tech is in there, and Texas A&M. And wouldn't it be awesome if this thing came down to the 4x4? Texas A&M has the best 4x4 in the nation.
We love it when this thing comes down to the 4x4. It's very, very exciting. On the women's side, again, Arkansas came in huge favorite, but Oregon did a great job getting their people through all but one, as John mentioned, and they are already rolling today.
Well, not only is Oregon incredibly talented, they're also incredibly well-rounded. They have the most point-scoring opportunities available on finals day. They have finalists in the sprints, in the jumps, in the throws, multiple point-scoring opportunities in the distance events, as well as the Big Ten champions of Oregon look for their first women's NCAA indoor title since 2017.
Well, just as Lara said, Oregon's got a couple of great opportunities to score points, and this is one of them in the women's mile.
Vilma Nielsen expertly executed that race, so assertive in decisively moving to the front to help lead the Ducks to a huge points opportunity in the opening event on the track.
And here are the results. Nielsen with the win, but her teammate, Shalon Aldi's, got 4th place. That's 5 points, 15 total points for the Ducks in the opening event of the championship. All right, now we're on the straightaway. 60-meter dash. You can see that lane 6 is open. That means Brianna Liston, one of the favorites, has scratched. So we go to Jaden Mays in lane 3. Another Oregon opportunity to score as you look at the meet record. Olympic champion Julian Alfred has the meet record. There is Jaden Mays, the senior from Glendale, Arizona, at Oregon. 4th time she's reaching this final.
Well, she's finished in 3rd, she's finished in 5th, and she's finished in 3rd another time, but she knows the implications. This is her final track meet as an Oregon Duck. She and Jada Ross, the shot putter, would really love to go out in style and win a team title. And there's Kayla Jackson, the SEC champion, and she was a bridesmaid a couple years in a row at the SEC championship. She came away with a victory. Is this her season? She's been in the mix, just like Jaden May. She always gets to the final. She's always in the mix. But there you see, runner-up 2 times in a row. She's got a dynamic start. She has a great reaction to the gun. It's the thing that I think gives her an advantage on this field.
So Liston is a scratch, which takes a really quality runner out of this final.
And when we talk about team title aspirations, University of Southern California, lane 2, Deja DeFran, the Big Ten champion, and Samira Moody in lane 7. They want to score for the Trojans.
Mays on the right for Oregon. Jackson on the left for Georgia. Little movement in lane 2, but they keep them going. That's Deja DeFran, and she is going to win it for the Trojans. Mays is 2nd. So Dan, just like you said, the women of Troy coming through. DeFran 7:09 officially, but I thought I saw her flinch just the slightest little bit at the set position. And she got an excellent start and was never headed.
Well, the starter all weekend long has been confusing people. We've seen some false starts here at these championships. Look, second from the top, a slight movement, ever so slightly, but she got a blast off out of the blocks. There we see in the dark uniform, second from the right, Jaden Mays in the gold uniform. Jaden Mays does a good job of running Deja down, but she just doesn't have enough space there. But this is the same exact finish that these athletes saw at the Big Ten championships. Deja winning it, and Jaden Mays in that silver medal position.
Samira Moody also scoring in 5th place, so they got a lot of points out of that one. Deja DeFran, the first Trojan to win it since Twanisha Terry, TT Terry. She's downstairs with John.
Wow, TT Terry, that's good company to win this at USC. The thing goes by so fast for us that's watching. I think, how can you think of anything other than go bang, run as fast as you can? Take me through the other intricacies that I need to know that happened in those 7 seconds.
Okay, so I already have a good start, so I was like, just make sure I get out the blocks hard and fast, and then just go give it everything I have. This is the last race for indoor, so I just had to give it my all.
And you dip, and you know you're the national champ, or you're worried?
I was a little bit worried. I was peeking just a little bit. I was peeking, but I did it.
The shield's out front. Congratulations.
Yes.
You can go
Thank you so much.
Go talk to your sprints coach who's got the funny accent. He said, took some adjustment, but there she is. Ms. DeFran is the champ at 60 meters. Fastest woman in the NCAA, Dwight.
All right, John, and 14 points for the women of Troy from that 60 meters as well. Next on the track, it's 2-section final in the women's 400 meters. They got to run all out to try and score points for their teams. Very important team implications in the 400. First of 2 sections of the women's 400-meter final. Places are determined totally on time. So you can win the event from the first section or the second section. There's the NCAA meet record by Britton Wilson, and the fastest time in the country amongst collegians, Aaliyah Butler. She'll be in section 2. There is Bella Whitaker of Arkansas, graduate transfer from Penn. She will start in lane number 5.
SEC championship, she was second place to Aaliyah Butler. She ran 49.90, and that was the third fastest collegiate all time. Isabella Whitaker, though, she's come over to Arkansas. She said she wanted to take her running to another level. She knows how successful the Razorbacks have been, but she wants to etch her name in amongst some of the best runners, and she certainly has done that here in this indoor season.
There are the list of competitors with LSU's Ella Onojuevo on the outside. She could be a factor in this race as well. It's a big advantage for Bella to have Ella right outside of her.
Onojuevo is a quick starter, and so I think that's something certainly that Isabella Whitaker is used to when she's raced against the likes of Aaliyah Butler. But Onojuevo has really run the last few times we've watched her with really a lot of confidence. Doesn't seem to be scared. She's really going after it. She's run 51.06. See if she can dip under 51 for the first time.
We learned yesterday that lane 6 may not be as big an advantage on this track as it is in Fayetteville or in College Station. Lane 4 turned out being not a terrible lane draw in the prelims. There is Bella Whitaker. She's out already. She is determined to get that pole position that she can break for after this turn, but Zaya Eikens isn't going to give it up easily.
Well, Chris Johnson said that Bella knows how to run the 400 meters one way, and that is to push it. That's to push it from the beginning. Run as fast as you can, as far as you can, and this is what she's doing right here. Look at her pull away now with 100 meters to go.
23.8 through the first 200, and she's got a nice gap on Onojuevo. She is going for it again. It's on time. If she posts the best time faster than Section 2, she's the winner. And Arkansas needs the points. 49.25. That is a new collegiate record and not at altitude. And fastest time in the second fastest time in the world this year. Don't tell Arkansas that they might be out of it.
And then she's greeted by her teammates. And I said she wanted to etch her name into the record books amongst all those great Razorback 400-meter runners, and she did just that very thing. Oh my gosh, she really took it out strong and just brought it home. That's what they do at Arkansas, push the pace early and then continue to put the pressure on the rest of the field. But she got into a 400-meter runner's groove and just kept it all the way to the line. You knew it was going to be fast when you saw her come around the final turn. In the last 50 meters, she's continuing to accelerate. You don't accelerate in the second half of the 400 meters. Look at the tempo. Look at the arms. She just keeps going and going. She floundered a little bit with that left arm at the end. But that was a run we're going to remember, and it's going to make these athletes from Section 2 now have to rethink their strategies.
It's an American record and the second fastest time ever run for the distance. The Netherlands' Femke Bol is the world record holder, and she did that only a couple weeks ago. Isabella Whitaker puts down a time that has got to be mind-blowing to the athletes in the second section, but this is not over. Next week, it's the NCAA Women's Swimming and Diving Championships, March 19th through the 22nd from Federal Way, Washington. For more information, go to ncaa.com, your official online home for all 91 NCAA championships. Women's high jump was contested a little bit earlier today. Defending champion Rachel Glenn, she jumped 2 meters, 6'6 3/4 at this meet last year in Boston. On the Olympic team for the U.S. in Paris. Competing for Arkansas, they need the points, and that was her clearance at 6'3 1/4, but she would go no higher. Elena Kulichenko of Georgia and Cyprus, who was runner-up at the SEC championships with a slight brush, gets over 6'4 1/4 on her second attempt. She was 7th at the Olympics in Paris. And then this is Temitope Adesina, a sophomore at Texas Tech, and she also just brushes the bar at 6'4 1/4. She won the Big 12. They were tied, decided not to jump off, and shared the points. So Kulichenko and Adesina tie at 6'4 1/4. Rachel Glenn gets 6 points for the Hogs in third. So moments ago, in the first section of the two-section 400-meter final, Bella Whitaker of Arkansas ran the second fastest time in history, an American record, a collegiate record, 49.24. It would have been a world record a couple of weeks ago. And she establishes the time to beat for the athletes running in Section 2. A daunting task, but certainly one that these young women are probably capable of, like Aaliyah Butler of Georgia on the outside. She'll be going out of lane number 6.
Well, she certainly knows what she needs to do. She ran beautifully at the SEC Championships. What a great recovery from last season. Doesn't make the NCAA final outdoors, comes back, makes the Olympic team. And has just been running phenomenal this indoor season. There's Dejanay Oakley. We talked a little bit about team points and implications. Oakley will be down there on the inside in lane 3. But then, you know, you talk, Oregon did it in the mile in the first race. USC did what they needed to do in the 60-meter open. Now Aaliyah Butler has a chance to score some points for Georgia, who's also in the team race, and they've got a great 4x4. We're going to see Kayla Jackson again in the 200 meters. But Georgia has a phenomenal 4x4 to finish the meet. But there's Butler on the outside. She will run the race very similarly to the way Isabella Whitaker just did.
And lane 3 isn't nearly the impediment that it is on higher banked tracks. So coming out to Dejanay Oakley down there in lane 3. And Aaliyah Butler is off and running. She wants that pole position.
Well, Aaliyah Butler is a fantastic 200-meter runner. A lot of her workouts are based on the 200 meters. Kareem Abdul-Wahab, the new coach who coaches the 400 meters at Georgia, has really got her speed, her 200-meter speed, faster this year, and it's really benefited her here in the 400 meters. Look at her go.
Like Bella Whitaker, she is going for it. Oakley, her teammate, is back in the back. Again, all runners score in these 400s and 200s unless there's a disqualification. Butler knows how daunting a task it is to try and win this thing after that time that was just run by Bella Whitaker. She breaks 50, 49.98, corrected to 97, so that is going to be fast enough for second place points for Georgia. But it is Bella Whitaker from Section 1 who threw down an incredible time, the second fastest ever run, to win the 400 meters.
Well, Aaliyah Butler knew exactly what she needed to do. She is a fast starter. She got off to a really good fast first lap. But when you're all alone in that last 100 meters, very difficult to close all by yourself. And she comes up just a little bit short. This Aaliyah Butler had an undefeated streak going all this indoor season, and even though it's in another section, she'll take an L this weekend. Congratulations to Bella Whitaker, who wins from the early section.
So it's a third victory in a row for Arkansas in the 400 meters. It was Britton Wilson, who had set the collegiate record at the time, Amber Anning, the Brit who competed at the Olympic Games for Great Britain last summer, and now it's Bella Whitaker with an American and a collegiate record. There it is, official. And Dejanay Oakley and Aaliyah Butler, they score 14 points for Georgia. But Whitaker is downstairs with John.
Thank you, Dwight. 49.24. Obviously, the time's a wow. Tell me all that went into achieving that time over the last few months.
Yeah, I think it was honestly just staying true to my process, not really trying not to compare myself to the way the other girls ran, to my own teammates, anything, to the pros that I train with sometimes. Like, it was just kind of like trusting myself and really just trying to show up like as my most authentic stuff every time I stepped up on the track. So, yeah.
So I see it and I'm going, don't be mad at me. I'm like, maybe the clock's wrong. What did you think when you saw that?
Oh my God. I mean, I knew it was going to be good off of the first 200 I ran. Right. I felt great coming home. I was really just gritting my teeth trying to get to the line because I knew I wasn't in the second, you know, there's another heat, so you always got to race against the clock. So I just knew I just had to dig deep and yeah, and happy with the results, but I was shocked when I saw it.
An amazing performance. Dwight, a UPenn degree and an Arkansas national champ. I don't know what the underachieving kids are doing in life, but they're not keeping up with Bella Whitaker right now.
Yeah, well stated, John. That was an incredible race. And the Razorbacks are definitely very serious about trying to crawl out of the hole they dug for themselves yesterday. An American record for Bella Whitaker in the 400, 800 next. All right, next event on the oval, it's the 800-meter final. Juliet Whitaker having run that meet record last year. And Sanut Jalo Lockhart has the NCAA lead. Neither of those young ladies is in this final, but Michaela Rose, the many-time SEC champion, is.
And the 2023 NCAA Outdoor 800-meter champion. This is a home meet of sorts for the Virginia native. Closest she's competing to home in her entire collegiate career. Already helped LSU to a top 5 DMR finish on Friday. Also, Roisin Willis, who was the indoor champ here 2 years ago. So Stanford has gone back-to-back with Roisin Willis and Juliet Whitaker in this event. And Harvard with Victoria Bossong and Sophia Gorierin, a program that has produced national champion distance runners like Maya Ramsden and Graham Blanks. They have 2 in this 800-meter final.
The only school that can claim that this year. And like in the mile, they will stand these groups of 5 and 3 through the second turn and then break for the pole on the home stretch.
Michaela Rose got caught up in a little bit of traffic getting off the line. We tend to see her like to go up to the front. She was more measured in qualifying, certainly, than what we have typically seen. Roisin Willis also tends to be a front runner, but that is Michaela Page of UNC.
Okay, that's what we hate to see, is that kind of congestion. Nobody went down, but that is really, really unnerving to the athletes in the field. The more veteran you are, the less it affects you. But Michaela Rose back in a very unfamiliar place in a championship final.
Great poise by Michaela Page to be able to recover from that. Stay out there in front. Roisin Willis looks like she's going to try to make a move here down the home stretch, as is Michaela Rose. 58.8 through the opening 400 meters.
See a few elbows being thrown. So Page continuing to set the pace. Bossong right there. Roisin Willis now into third. She won this race as a freshman.
That same year, she was part of Stanford's national championship distance medley relay as well.
I don't believe I've seen Michaela Rose this far back in a pack this late in the race ever.
Victoria Bossong looks like she has plotted an excellent opportunity to make a move on the backstretch, but Michaela Page immediately responds.
Page racing like that stumble didn't take anything out of her. Rose doesn't have the gas to get into the top spot. It's Michaela Page. Roisin Willis trying to challenge for second, but it's going to be the Tar Heel winning the 800. Bossong holds on for second, and Roisin Willis finishes third. 2 flat 39 for the winner. But that is one of the stranger races, maybe the strangest race I've ever seen Michaela Rose run during her collegiate career.
Michaela Page has been so consistent this indoor season. She opened up at 2 minutes. She's run some awesome 400s. Let's take a look at how this all unfolded. You can see right there in the middle of the pack, and she gets tripped up from behind, manages to stay on her feet, and in the lead. She relied so heavily on that strength and great 400-meter kick to be that composed in that situation. Coming in, Michaela Page was considered one of the bigger threats in this field, kind of quietly so, with all of these previous NCAA champions, and she earns her title right there.
So the senior Michaela Page from North Carolina becomes the first Tar Heel to win this event at the NCAA Indoors. This is off a third-place finish in the ACC conference meet, and she is downstairs with John.
Thank you, Dwight. Here we are. I'm here with the 800 champion, somebody who might be a gymnast because your balance was tremendous. What happened? Or what could you tell happened, because it was all behind you?
I think someone just ran to the side of my foot, and so I just kind of like had to, catch myself a little bit. Just happy I stayed on my feet. Yeah.
That sounds really easy. It seems like it could be a panic moment. How did you not panic?
To be honest, it was a panic at the 100 meters after that, and I was like, okay, calm down, focus on the next lap, just take it one at a time. I was trusting my training. I've been working with my coach all year on, so yeah.
You stood up, you kept up, and you were first across the line. Congratulations on the national championship. So we have Michaela, but it's Michaela Page is the champ. Dwight?
Yes.
All right, John. Well, that fall, or that stumble, could have outstop most athletes, but she recovered beautifully and went on to win in a lifetime best as well. When we return, we'll come off the oval back onto the straightaway. The 60-meter hurdles are next from Virginia Beach.
Let's go over to the women's shot put. This is your collegiate record holder, Jada Ross, a senior from Oregon. Not only was she the collegiate record holder, she was 4th place at the Olympic Games in Paris this last summer. She would save her best throw to her 6th round, 62 3.25. Not just her best throw today, but her best throw ever for a big-time personal best. This is Oxalina Johansson, the junior from Nebraska. In the 6th round, she would go even farther, 63 3.25. She also competed in the Olympic Games, and she would be your winner today. But big points for Jada Ross, the senior, going out in style with the Oregon Ducks.
Just moments ago, you can see in the middle of your screen, that's Aaliyah McCormick. And on her left, Jada Covington, who just dips her at the tape, but 8 points for 2nd place, keeps propelling Oregon forward, which now sets up the 200 meters. There is the NCAA meet record from 2 years ago. Olympic champion in the 100, Julian Alfred, set that record. Jamisha Ford, who has never lost to a collegian, she has the lead this year, and she is in section 2. But more importantly, Oregon has Jaden Mays, who finished 2nd in the 60 meters. She is there in lane number 5 for the Ducks.
And she's got a great lane draw in lane 5. But I had a chance to talk to Jaden earlier this week coming into the meet, and I said, you've never won a national title. You think about all the success that the University of Oregon has had, and she's never been on a national title team, and she's never won a national title from an individual standpoint. And this is her final track meet as a Duck.
Over the 2 sections, 4 of the competitors also contested the 60 meters, including the 60-meter champion, Deja Defran, who is in section 2. They're the competitors in this section 1 race. Remember, this is all on time, and as we saw in the 400 with Bella Whitaker, you can win the race from section 1 if you put up a fast enough time, and she certainly did. 1 lap on this oval.
Just to her outside, Madison White of USC, grew up just up the road about an hour and a half. Newport News, Virginia. And she'll have some fans in the stand today, but she had the freshman record in the 200 meters last season, and she's running well this season.
Jaden Mays has Madison White of USC to her outside as a bit of a rabbit. Now they just need to stay inside their lanes. Don't get close to that line. It's Mays coming off the turn. Jaden Mays, she was 2nd in the 60, but she wins the section of the 200 with a lifetime best by a couple hundredths of a second. 22:45 she posts. It's the number 4 time in the world this year, and puts up a formidable time for the section 2 sprinters to go after.
Well, I think Jaden Mays saw what happened in the women's 400. The winner coming from that first section, she said, I'm going to lay a time down that people are going to have to chase me. People are going to have to run really fast to beat me. But she's got great turnover. There you see, she ran really wide on that outside turn, on that far turns 3 and 4, just to make sure there was going to be no disqualification and that she was going to score some points for the Ducks. Just there you see her intention. She's a little tight at the end, but man, she runs quick.
So Mays with a lifetime best. The senior from Oregon puts up a time to beat for section 2 of 22:45. Madison White finishing 2nd for the women of Troy. And Nisha Berger of UTEP getting 3rd. Ready now for section 2 of this 200 meters. Jaden Mays of Oregon putting up the time to beat of 22:45. This is the woman of the hour in this event, Jamisha Ford, who has never lost to another collegian at the 200-meter distance. She's got that lane 6 draw. Defending champion, twice the conference champion, and has the fastest time in the country amongst collegians of 22:34. So she's already run faster than she needs to win this title. But 22:45 is no slouch time, Dan O'Brien. She's got something to shoot for.
Well, and admittedly, she says that she doesn't love the 200 meters indoor. She kind of was more of a 400 meter runner as she got into college here. She likes the 400 meters just a little bit better, but she's so successful. She has such a nice compact stride. She really manages these indoor tracks really well, whether it's a high bank or a flat bank. It's just gonna, and she's in the outside. She's gonna really get a chance to charge that first 100 meters and then just hold on. She knows what she needs to do to overtake. And there's India Mayberry, the Big 12 champ this year, coming in as a freshman, doing something that nobody's been able to do before. And as a freshman, winning the 60 meter and the 200 the high point scorer of that Big 12 Conference Championship. She's had a great season. We saw her in the 60 meter final, and here she is, her first season with TCU in the 200 meter final.
Also down in lane 4, you've got the 60 meter champion from USC, Deja Dufresne, also in this field. 22:45, the time to beat, put up by Oregon's Jaden Mays in section 1. Jamisha Ford's goal is to not see her competitors until after the finish line.
Set.
She knows she's got to get out quickly. Her personal best is only 0.11 of a second faster than what Jaden Mays ran in section 1. India Mayberry is definitely in it. Mayberry is going to come off the turn first, but Ford has that 400 meter strength, but it's not enough. She finally loses one to the competitor, and India Mayberry improves on Jaden Mays' section 1 time and takes the title at 22:30. That's the fastest time by a collegian in 2025. That's the fastest time in the world this year.
Wow. India Mayberry, the freshman, looked like she didn't want to do an interview either, so I don't need to talk to John. I got to go. I'm tired. I got to go sit down in here. And there you see Jamisha Ford. Good run, but that youngster, India Mayberry, she really charged in that last 50 meters. I think she got a little bit of inspiration as she reeled in Jamisha Ford. Let's take a look at her. They're even at this point with about 70 meters to go. But as she reels in Jamisha Ford, watch her put her head down and just continue to drive to the line. You come off that turn and there's not a lot of room left. But look at the determination on her face as she gets to the finish line. An outstanding run by a young freshman from Fort Worth, Texas.
So Jamisha Ford ends up with the 3rd place time, 6 points for South Carolina. Jaden Mays gets 8 more points for the Ducks, but the freshman sensation, 2nd fastest American ever, is downstairs with John.
Thank you, Dwight. I just was talking to her like, Indy, you're a freshman. You should be trying to figure out where your dorm keys are, not win a national championship. You just took down a woman who has never been beaten in this event. How did you do it?
Just do what I'm told at practicing. Put it all together and run.
So what are they telling you at practice then that's the secret?
Practice hard, get out, sweep, push, go.
How much did it help having Jamisha in front of you?
A lot, because I had somebody to push me and fight harder.
And when you came off the turn, you knew you had it, or when were you confident?
I just knew she was a strong finisher. She was 400 meter runner, so I just knew I had to keep fighting regardless.
All those things work. We're going to throw it up to Dwight. Congratulations to you, Indy. Just remember, they're not frogs. They're horned frogs. That's a whole different thing.
All right, John, thank you for that distinction. And she's right. It's all about turnover with the 200, and she certainly had the better turnover. But Jaden Mays putting up a great time, a personal best, and ends up with 8 points for Oregon in the women's 200. But the title goes to the freshman from TCU. All right, there is field event action going on. Let's check in with Dan for an update on the triple jump.
Oh, this triple jump was very competitive. This is Agardwal, the junior from Oklahoma. This is her first attempt, and it would be her best jump of the day. She was second at the SEC Indoor Championships. She would bounce one out there to 45 feet and 1/4 of an inch. But after this was all said and done, there was a tie with Tamia Washington. Not only were the first 2 jumps exactly the same, the second 2 jumps were exactly the same. They had to go back to a third best jump to decide the competition. And then third place only was 2 centimeters behind that.
Wow, tight triple jump competition here at the championships. That's what it's all about. Section 3 of the women's 4x400 relay. There are the meet and NCAA leads. Arkansas with the meet record. There is Joanne Reed. She will lead off for the Razorbacks. They had a tough meet here, but they can redeem themselves and run well in the 4x400. Then Georgia Bulldogs, same thing. Both of these teams can run their teams into a runner-up position behind Oregon. Oregon has clinched the team title. They do not have a 4x400 relay in the meet, but this should be a great race between the Razorbacks and the Bulldogs. They have the 2 fastest times coming in.
Dejanay Oakley of Georgia there. She's had a fantastic meet. Got through the finals in that 400 meters. But when I look at the times, we got to keep an eye on the time. 3:26.97. There's only one team with a season best here better than that, and that's the Georgia Bulldogs.
South Carolina on the outside. They're the defending champions. Runners up at the conference 2 weeks ago. Tennessee on the inside, then Arkansas, Georgia, and South Carolina on the outside.
Well, we're going to see stars from each team. Arkansas, Georgia, and South Carolina. We'll see Jamisha Ford running that third leg. Isabella Whitaker will anchor Arkansas, and Aaliyah Butler will anchor for Georgia.
It's Dejanay Oakley for Georgia on the leadoff for the Bulldogs. She was third in the 400, and it's a crash. Georgia leading over Arkansas. And that was South Carolina that went down.
Well, that was Zaya Eikens. And she went down hard and she got up, but she is definitely about 75 meters back. Showed a lot of toughness just to get up, but that was a hard fall.
Georgia passes first. For the Bulldogs, this is Michelle Smith on the second leg, and Scenaria Butler for Arkansas. For Tennessee, Brianna White. And for South Carolina, it's well back now. Sylvia Shalengat will be the second runner for the Gamecocks. Georgia, the collegiate leaders coming into these championships. Remember, the time to beat posted in Section 1 by the USC Trojans, 3:26.97. That's a school record for the women of Troy. Arkansas now starting to close the gap. Scenaria Butler doing a fine job getting the Hogs back in it. Georgia passes first, though. Haley Tate for the Bulldogs, and Kaylin Brown for Arkansas.
Low 52s and high 51s there for those last two legs for Georgia and Arkansas. This is Kaylin Brown. Said she's been running better. Let's see if she opens things up here on this second lap. There she goes.
Arkansas into the lead. For Tennessee, this is Esther Joseph keeping it close for the Volunteers. Jamisha Ford is doing the best she can for South Carolina after that crash and fall. She was third in the 200, first 200 she's ever lost. Final handoff, and it's the new American and collegiate record holder in the indoor 400, second fastest time ever run. Bella Whitaker on anchor for Arkansas.
And look who's stalking her. That's Aaliyah Butler, who was second in the open 400 meters to Bella Whitaker.
And for Tennessee, Javanya Valcourt is keeping it close. One more lap for Bella Whitaker. Again, the time to beat, 3:26.97. That's faster than Arkansas has run this year. It's just too much room to make up for Aaliyah Butler to the American record holder. Arkansas will win it, and they do run fast enough to take the title. 3:25.21. And that's more than 2 seconds faster than the seed time they came into these championships with. So a fine performance by Arkansas, and that will catapult them up the leaderboard. Again, Oregon has clinched. Here's the fall that we saw. South Carolina. It's actually Tennessee gets a little tied up with Arkansas, and then South Carolina, the momentum just carries her forward. She can't get out of the way. So then there were 3 in contention. Georgia passed first, with Arkansas well behind at this point. Tightened it up on that 3rd leg.
Well, you wonder why we didn't see a little better seed time from Arkansas. They really shuffled their lineup a lot during this indoor season. There was even a Rachel Glenn 4x4 sighting early in this indoor season. But this is the foursome that they got right. And this gives Arkansas their season best times. There you see Bella Whitaker. Really, this is a victory lap for her. She won the open 400 meters, and she brings the Hogs home in the 4x4. Fantastic meet for her. Got exactly what she wanted as she came into Arkansas and want to be part of a fantastic squad. There's Kaylin Browner in an outstanding 3rd leg.
3rd 4x400 title for Arkansas in the last 4 years. They win it with 3:25.20. Georgia does end up 2nd. USC, who posted the time from section 1, ends up 3rd overall in the 4x4 relay. Under men's side of the competition underway, we've seen the mile, and it was not a Washington Husky winning it. It was Abel Tefra, the senior from Georgetown, breaking up the juggernaut of Washington over the last several years, setting a meet record in winning the men's mile for the Hoyas. All right, wrapping up the heptathlon, 7 events over 2 days. So let's take it to Dan.
Well, there's your day 1 leader, Peyton Bear, the junior from Mississippi State. He was the national leader coming in to the heptathlon here at the national championships. He was going to get pressed by the junior from Miami, Edgar Comper. He was in 2nd place, just 2 points behind Peyton Bear. But in the 1,000 meters, it was Jack Turner, the senior from Arkansas, who had run 2:35.49 for 924 points, and Jack Turner would move himself all the way into 2nd position. Peyton Bear would be your champion at over 6,000 points. But Jack Turner went from 4th to 2nd to provide big points for that Arkansas Razorback squad. They needed somebody to light a fire into them, and I think it was Jack Turner.
So next event on the track, actually on the infield, the straightaway, the 60, the meet record held by world champion Kristen Coleman. And J.C. Stevenson of USC has the fastest time amongst collegians this year. He is in this field in the middle of the track. Lane 4, the junior from Temecula, California.
Well, he absolutely looked wonderful yesterday, and he was juggling long jump duties along with 60 meter duties. Didn't look like those long jumps took anything out of him, but he's been having a really good indoor season. See that 6:46? We had to look at the time twice yesterday. It's like, oh my gosh, that's the fastest American yet this season. We're talking about lighting a fire under some of these Arkansas athletes here on day 2. This is a young man who could do it. Jordan Anthony, the SEC champion, a little bit of a surprise, the SEC champion, but he was a runner-up here last year. He knows how to compete in the big moments, and he has looked really good. There you see Kenyon Sola Ajayi. He was a surprise winner last year at the SEC championships. False started this year, but had a really nice run yesterday and didn't get his best start yesterday. He ran 6:48, and I think he's got a lot more to give if he can get a better start. We look at the fastest times run all season long, and 3 were run here last night. And what's interesting, and these are not just collegiate guys, these are professionals. There you see Ronnie Baker, who will be going to the World Indoor Championships. Noah Lyles, bottom of the list there, but Israel Okon, the freshman, on that list as well. Collegiates setting the pace in the short sprints this season.
Israel Okon will be in lane 5, so this event is stacked from top to bottom. Ajayi in 2, the one still standing up, waiting to get into the on your marks position. Next to him, Jordan Anthony of Arkansas, J.C. Stevenson, USC, And then the freshman, Israel Okon of Auburn. 2 chances for Auburn to score a lot of points.
Well, Malachi Snow goes for Texas Tech there in lane 7 as well. We're going to see him back in the hurdles, but Texas Tech is in this thing as well. They need points.
Away quickly, Jordan Anthony out very quickly. It's Jordan Anthony. It's going to be Anthony. He starts leaning early. He knew he had it at about 50 meters. 6:49, which is a big personal best for the Arkansas junior. Standout on the Arkansas football team. Runner-up last year, now champion.
Well, the experience of last year, being runner-up, we've seen what that was. We've seen that throughout these championships, getting here, getting the experience. And Jordan Anthony, he got a much better start. Kenyon Sola Ajayi, he got a better start as well. But it was just Jordan Anthony. He got the edge on everybody, and he just was not going to give it up. And I thought, don't celebrate too early. But he took it all the way to the line.
Well, that was an important meet for a couple of schools. Arkansas with the win, 10 points, but Auburn finished 2nd and 3rd. That's 14 points for Auburn. USC ends up 5th and 6th. So lots of team implications there, but more importantly, Jordan Anthony downstairs with John.
I am. We just looked over at the scoreboard over here, 6:49 on top of the board. You're like, this is nice. You're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. Where'd this one come from?
The heart. Had to come out here, prove myself. Ain't really did produce that well due to injuries. But I'm back now. J.A. is back. Well, Jay, I love you. I'm back.
Well, we're going to argue over who exactly is J.A. in this, but we'll get to that after we get done here. You leaned early. What was so good about that race that you knew you were in command?
Just the first 10 meters. My first step is not really good because due to football, I'm a receiver, DB in front of me. So my first step is always high. But my race is always to the first yellow tick marks. If I beat everybody there, race is over. As you can tell, the race is over.
Dwight, when you have no one to juke and you just got to go, life's a whole lot easier. Plus, nobody's trying to tackle you at the end of this thing. Jordan Anthony, J.A., the champ at 60.
And he's the first champ in the 60 from Arkansas on the men's side, which is a stat that I couldn't believe it when Tom Lewis told me. So Arkansas rebounding after a terrible first day, wins the 60, but Auburn right there as well. When we come back, it'll be the men's 400 meters, 2-section final. So just moments ago in the 2nd section final of the 400, Will Floyd from Georgia just holds off Nathaniel Ezekiel Baylor to win the title for the 3rd time for the Bulldogs. 10 big points for Georgia. Getting ready now for the men's 800 meters. Michael Cerrone still the meet record holder. Aiden McCarthy has the fastest time amongst collegians. He is in this field. There he is down in the group closest to the rail. And when he ran the time that leads the nation, he didn't even realize how fast he'd run.
I saw the time when I crossed the line. I didn't know what the fastest American collegiate time was at the time. I was told that after, but I knew that 1:45.1 was definitely up there on the all-time list. And that was kind of the number that I had in my mind going into the race, like anything in the 1:45 lows, just based off of workouts that we were doing and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was pretty surreal to see that on the clock. For a second, I thought it was 1:44, but yeah, it was definitely a shocking moment for me.
Sometimes it's just good to not know these things. You know?
Absolutely. Go in, and he was preparing himself all season to run well in big races. He benefited from not having a conference championship that weekend, instead put himself in a great racing situation to run that mark. And not too far off of that performance, just 0.02 of a second off, is Tenoda Matsatsa of Georgetown. He has overcome so much adversity in the last year. He did not make the NCAA outdoor meet, went on to run 1:45 1:45 in another meet after the NCAA regional. Would go on to the Olympic trials as well. Set the collegiate record over the 1,000 this indoor season. He has had a tremendous season altogether coming into this championship. And then Maddie Erickson of Oregon ran phenomenal in qualifying, 1:46.11 on Friday. That is the fastest qualifying time in history, also a personal best for him.
Group of 5 on the inside, group of 3 on the outside. They'll stay there till they finish the second turn and then break for the pole. The last Cal Poly San Luis Obispo athlete to compete in these championships was high jumper Ronaldo Brown, with whom I share a birthday. He was an idol of mine when I was in high school. 25-1 for the first 200 meters for these finalists. And that's Darius Scipiego of Iowa State, currently in the lead, but now being passed on the rail. Olivier Desmoules of Quebec and Penn State now into the lead. Good, honest pace being set here. 51.9 for the 400, so plenty of run left in most of these athletes. Justin O'Toole of Washington trying to work his way into the mix. Mitsatsa staying out of trouble there on the outside of lane 1, challenging for the lead, and takes it.
Coach told him coming in, nothing good happens in the back. Make some big moves and put yourself in position. That's certainly what he did. And now is Abdullahi Hassan charging there into third place as well. 26.7, that previous 200 meters. Hassan has great closing strength as well.
Maddie Erickson making a move now to take over the lead over Mitsatsa, but there is Hassan in a good spot to strike. Erickson, Hassan, it's Erickson over Hassan in 1:46.44. So the senior from Canada runs a best time in the prelims and comes back and wins the final.
Excellent race execution for the second straight day after running that impressive qualifying round. Bides his time and reels in the leader. And even as he is into a full sprint, just looks completely composed, well using the upper body, driving those knees.
So Maddie Erickson takes the title for Oregon. Hassan comes from pretty much nowhere the last 200 meters to get second. And Aiden McCarthy of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo ends up third. And the champion is downstairs with John.
I am with the champion who just asked, can I have a second to catch my breath? And the answer, of course, is no. You have to talk to me and be lucid and give me really in-depth race analysis while in oxygen debt. So let's go with the in-depth race analogy. No. Why did you choose to go to the front when you did?
I didn't want to leave it to the last 50. I felt like if I could get to the lead, I had a better chance holding people off than trying to catch people. And also I just felt good. You know, my goal coming into this race was just make the right decisions in the moment, make the right reads. And so that was the read I made and it worked out.
I was going to say, and which was the best read of all of those, you think?
Probably that closing 100. Yeah, that felt really good.
You could feel him coming. You held him off. Maddie Erickson, champ at 800 for Oregon again, first since Charlie Hunter a couple years ago.
And that was what I was going to say. Tom Lewis handed me that note. Charlie Hunter back in 2021, winning the indoor title, and same. When we come back, we're back on the straightaway for the 60-meter hurdles. Well, men's high jump is in a bit of a funk in this country, not a lot of depth. For example, 8th place was 7.1 here. That's All-American. This is Ryan Rankin with a bar at 7.2 1/4. He clears easily on his first attempt. He was 10th at the conference meet, SEC, 7th here last year. That was good enough for 2nd place. Tyus Wilson, the senior from Nebraska, 3rd attempt at 7.5 3/4, and he makes the event respectable. He won the conference Big Ten indoor meet and was 4th at this meet last year, but now he is the champion. USC athletes both tied for 5th place. There's a three-way tie, so they ended with 6 points when they were not expected to get anything. So a big event for the Trojans, the men's high jump. Next event on the track, actually on the infield, the 60-meter hurdles. Grant Holloway, the Olympic and world champion, has the NCAA meet record from 6 years ago. And Johnny Brackens, who is in this field, has the leading time amongst collegians this year. There is Johnny. Had to run the hurdles and long jump at the same time on day one of these championships.
And this is the second year in a row that Johnny Brackens has had to do that, and this is the second year in a row that he's had some issues moving from one event to the other event, and he had to run the hurdles and come back. He had one more jump remaining in the long jump, but it was not a fantastic long jump competition for Johnny Brackens. He was only in 8th position before he went and ran the hurdle race, but then after his hurdle race, he had to come over. He was not allowed to change shoes. He was not allowed to change shoes at all, and he had to take his final long jump in his sprint shoes, and that jump got disqualified because there were air bubbles in his sprint shoes, and they weren't his long jump shoes. So another kind of just confusing back and forth from one event to the other, and you know it's unexpected. But last year he was in the middle of the hurdles. He was in the middle of the hurdles in the long jump when they couldn't get the track all the way down. He had to forfeit his last long jump at the NCAA championships to get ready for the hurdle. But Johnny Brackens, there's your collegiate leader. He ran 7:43 against Grant Holloway at the U.S. Championships at Oceanside in New York just a couple of weeks ago. There's Malachi Snow. We saw him in the 60 meters earlier, and here he comes back in the hurdles, trying to get some more points for the Texas Red Raiders. But the Big 12 indoor champ is going to be in the middle of the track next to Johnny Brackens. But I think that is the man to beat right there, Jacoby Tharp. And what's interesting, real Michael Jordan story, believe it or not, he got cut from his 7th grade basketball team, and that's what put him in the sport of track and field. His basketball coach said, what are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do? And they said, let's join the track team. He joined the track team, started the hurdle, and there was no looking back. And what's interesting, Ken Harnden, the sprint and hurdle coach at Auburn, said, I knew I had a really good athlete, that I recruited a really good athlete when I saw him dunk from the free throw line. It's like, yeah, this guy's going to be pretty good. But Jacoby Tharp, he has been running fantastic all season long, and he always finds a way to get it done.
Won the SEC. He's on the right side of your screen with Snow in the middle and Brackens on the left. Brackens out well, and so is Malachi Snow. And Tharp. It's Tharp. It's Tharp. Jacoby Tharp, the sophomore from Auburn, takes the title in 7:45, which is a lifetime best. There's Jerome Campbell of Northern Colorado, who hung in there for second. Johnny Brackens ended up third.
Well, this is as pumped up as I've ever seen Jacoby Tharp. He's usually a pretty quiet, mild-mannered guy.
This is what I do!
But he is jacked. The 19-year-old out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Let's see what happens when you get kicked off your junior high basketball team. You go on to greater things. But let's take a look at his start. A lot of athletes in this race. 7 striders to the first hurdle. About the whole row in the middle from lanes 2 through 7. But it's Jacoby Tharp, who just had better hurdling, better technical execution over those sticks, and he was clean. I think he might have brushed the last one, but he gets off. He knows as soon as he came off that last hurdle that he was going to be the winner, and an outstanding time, and he is on the Bowerman watch list.
First time an Auburn hurdler has won this title indoors, and he's downstairs with John.
Thank you, Dwight. Yeah, so you kind of wanted to be Kobe. Basketball didn't go. Jacoby seems to work in the hurdles.
Yes, sir.
Where's the key point in that race for you?
The start. Yesterday, I was thinking too much. I didn't really get the best start. Coach told me, do what I do best. Just run my race. If I'm racing you to the finish line, and it's a championship, it's going to be a problem.
And there are a bunch of guys in there that can be a problem, right? That's not a field of plumbers that you took down. What was your mindset going in against these guys?
Just not doing what I did yesterday. Just run. Instead of thinking, just run. Like we practice emotions in practice. Out here on the track, we race, we run.
He's excited. He told me last week at the SECs that he was excited just because he won. That sounds really simple.
Yeah.
That's the goal of the championship. First across the line, Jacoby Tharp in the 60-meter hurdles.
That's right, John. In a championship, it doesn't matter what your mark is, just as long as it was better than everybody else. Two-section 200 meters is next. Manakashi Charamba from Auburn. Can he give Leroy Burrell another 10 points?
In the men's shot put, all eyes were on this man from Ole Miss, Tarek Robinson O'Hagan, the junior from Mississippi. Last year, he won the NCAA championships indoors. He won the NCAA outdoor championship, so you can call him the undisputed champ. But here in the first round, he would go big, 67 2 3/4, and he would lead this thing almost start to finish. Was there anybody that can mount a charge? Here's the senior from South Carolina, Christopher Lakita. In the sixth round, he would get close, 67 1.5 inches for a personal best. But he would finish runner-up again to Tarek Robinson O'Hagan. SEC athletes go 1-2. Swarms of Wisconsin would finish in third.
Second section of the men's 200 meters. There are the records. Elijah Hall, 20.02. That is moving. That's the meet record. And Manakashi Charamba has the NCAA lead, and he is in this final out there in lane 6, looking for some more points for the Auburn Tigers.
Well, he was second in the heat yesterday against Carly Makarau, who's on the inside. It's interesting. Yesterday, Makarau was on the outside. Today, Charamba is on the outside. Looked like Charamba had a little bit of difficulties. He's a very large individual in lane 5. Didn't run real open at the end of that race, but here he is in lane. Here's Makarau in lane 5. He's a little bit shorter, a little bit more controlled strides, but we'll see if Charamba can open things up now that he's out in lane 6. But Charamba seemed like he was happy to give the heat win to Makarau yesterday, but I'm sure these guys are friends, countrymen.
Stand up, please.
But the gloves are off here for the title.
Both from Zimbabwe.
You good?
One at Auburn, one at Kentucky. That's how they'll line up. Johnny Blockberger for USC, there to score some points for the Trojans. They're in it. Cameron Miller of Purdue in lane 4, which has proven to not be a terrible lane like it is on higher banked tracks. And then Makarau from Kentucky in 5, Charamba in 6. Time to beat, established by Garrett Kaland of Southern Cal, 20:56 from section 1.
Set.
Real advantage for Makarau having Charamba on his outside. He's taking advantage of it. He's eating into that stagger. Right now it's Makarau. You don't get nearly the boost out of lane 6 that you do at College Station or in Fayetteville. It's the Kentucky Wildcat, but here comes Charamba. It is Makarau, 2015, 2013 now officially. And that ties the world lead by the man he just beat. Charamba had run 2013 at the SEC indoor meet 2 weeks ago, and now Makarau ties that, but more importantly wins the title. Charamba ends up second overall at 2016.
Well, Carly Makarau, this is exactly what he did in the semis. Got a little bit of a lead on Charamba, and then he was able to hold it. But Maka Charamba was coming on like a freight train. If there were 10 more meters, he might have caught him. But Makarau, grateful that he's comes away a national champion and an outstanding time. Look at those 2 times. miles ahead of the rest of the field.
So the top 3 finishers in that second section finished in the top 3 spots overall, but it is Makarawu tying the NCAA lead and winning the title, and he's with John.
All right, thank you, Dwight. First off, let's start with how many times have you raced that guy?
Countless times. I think more than three times since we were back home. We were friends and teammates and rivals at the track. So I don't know how many times, but it's been a long time.
So you're familiar with him?
Yeah.
How much did it help to have him in 6 and you be able to see him?
So I didn't get the question.
So you're in 5, right?
Yeah.
And he's in 6.
Yeah.
How much did it help that you could see him from the start of the race out there?
Yeah, he helped me so that I can run my own race, run my own pace, not rest against anything, but rest against myself, because the target was to beat my own target and to beat the school record. So it was an added advantage, but I thank God for the victory.
Congratulations on the win. Dwight, he sat out the SEC final so he could be here and in shape for this one. The decision pays off.
And he pretty much needed all of it as well. Here are the updated standings with Johnny Blockerberger's points from that 200. USC now vaults into the lead by 2 over Auburn, who are 2 ahead of Arkansas. Those 3 are starting to break away from the rest of the athletes or teams behind them. So Makarawu holds off Charamba for the title, the first ever in the 200 meters indoors for Kentucky. We're back in Virginia Beach. Time now for the final of the men's 3,000 meters. The NCAA meet record is set by Nico Young of Northern Arizona last year, and the best time in the country is the collegiate record holder, Ethan Strand from North Carolina.
Ethan Strand, the first to hold collegiate records simultaneously in both the 3,000 meters and the mile. He anchored the distance medley relay on Friday to a runner-up finish. He has 2 of his teammates in this field as well, with Parker Wolf, the outdoor 5,000 meter champion, and also Colton Sands.
So here are the list of competitors, 16 in all. Those are how many people qualify in all the individual track events. North Carolina had 3 entries in this 3,000 final. As they step to the line, 11 on the inside, 5 on the outside grouping. They'll stay in those groups until they finish the second turn, then they'll break for the pole.
I had the chance to talk with Ethan Strand about this meet and the opportunity that he had. I asked him, coming off of the collegiate record at this distance, how much more he felt like he has. And he said, I definitely have more with how we set up and gear things up, building throughout championship season toward the outdoor season. He said, I'm getting better every day, every single week. And it means a whole lot for him to have his teammates. Not only does he have Parker Wolf in this field, he also has Colton Sands. And Coach Chris Miltenberg of UNC said the most fun part is watching these guys do it together, watching them compete. They were just the 2nd recruiting class that he had, and that's what they really believe they could turn their program into with the way these guys have developed and performed. And he said, of course, those really impressive times that Ethan Strand and Parker Wolf have run have been impressive, but he's even more proud of how well that they have competed, and that's what you need to see when it comes to this meet.
George Cootie of Virginia Tech and Great Britain, the sophomore, currently in the lead early on. Heptathlon Samuel, who we saw in the 5,000 meters on the first day, now taking over the lead.
Hobson finished runner-up to Brian Massow of Oklahoma State in that field. Samuel was also the runner-up in cross-country, NCAA cross-country, just a few months ago. So he has really strong range. Wisconsin's Adam Spencer moving well down the backstretch.
Luke DeWalt of Wake Forest is now in 2nd, with Spencer 3rd. Parker Wolf, their 4th, Strand 6th.
Great to see Parker Wolf back on the track. He had a really rough winter where he hadn't raced since running that fantastic 7:30:23. And just got really crushed with illness. They had to slow play bringing him back, so they weren't going to rush him, knowing that he has a really long outdoor season ahead. And he has really shown up for his team at this championship meet, did a fantastic job on the lead leg of that distance medley relay. His teammate Ethan Strand just 2 spots behind him right now.
Arkansas's Yassine Abdallah currently out of scoring position, but a lot of race left to go. But they still have a 4x400 relay in the meet. They're one of the top 12 teams in the meet. 9 laps remaining. Samuel continuing to lead.
.64.3, so they have picked things up just a little bit thanks to the leadoff of Hobson Samuel. And starting to see things get a little bit bunched. Now you can see Strand. Looks like he gave maybe a little gesture there to get Parker Wolf to go alongside him as the teammates have each other in tow. Yassine Abdallah moving well. Also, Gary Martin has been very tactical. He did a great job during the distance medley relay of finding the right opportunity. Vinla Nana was happy with how he was really patient, trusted his preparation. He said, now the factor is how much adrenaline does Gary get from it? How much did that mile take out of his legs? Very few guys come into this final fresh at this point. There you see Gary Martin. And I'll tell you what, that anchor leg, it was a spectacle in spectacles with the way that he ran that mile.
And speaking of spectacles, he's the only one with glasses in the field. It kind of makes him look like Clark Kent. He certainly performed like Superman yesterday, very smartly taking his time and very methodically reeling in his competitor and getting back into contact when it mattered.
That was about a 3-second slower last 400. So that's why everyone is so bunched up and running well out into lane 2 at this point. Gary Martin starting to get a little anxious there. Believe that's Matt Strangio of Portland. Piloting to the front, if you will.
Well done. Strangio in the lead. The Aussie from Melbourne. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong person. That's Adam Spencer is the Aussie from Melbourne. He's also up there from Wisconsin, currently 4th.
Adam Spencer, an Olympian from Australia at that. You can see they're starting to really ramp up the pace now just a little bit with Matt Strangio going up to the front, 62.5. And Brian Massal, the 5,000 meter champ of OK State, has fought his way into the thick of it. In asking Ethan Strand what he thought his better race was coming into this championship, he said the 3K is his favorite because it's a blend of strength and then the faster mile work, it fits his strengths. He feels like that's where he's really good right now. He said, I'm really enjoying it and that's where I feel really strong. He's focused on running a lot of longer stuff too this season so he could build himself up into this championship. And Dwight, he is just, look at how smooth and relaxed he looks right now.
Luke Tuwalt of Wake Forest with 3 laps remaining in this 3,000 meters. 2 Tar Heels up front. Ethan Strand, the NCAA leader, and his teammate Parker Wolf. Adam Spencer of Wisconsin is there, and
61.5, that last 400. And this is where Ethan and Parker work together so very well. They play off their different strengths in training and in racing. They've had so many good battles on the track. Drew Bosley of NAU has entered the conversation.
Little crashing in there in the middle of the pack. Heptathlon Samuel didn't get the better of that.
And here
comes Gary Martin, Superman, the only man. He looks like Clark Kent right now, but now he has put himself into the mix. to Walt, Strand, Martin, and Strand does not want to see Martin there again. He saw him yesterday, and there he goes.
He's boxed in on the inside just a little bit. Has to make the move to get into positioning.
Bell lap, Gary Martin versus Ethan Strand. That's what it was yesterday in the DMR. Martin with a head of steam, but Strand is now the hunter today. And Strand downshifts and passes decisively. Martin does not have an answer. Spencer's trying to get up on the rail for second. Martin holds him off, but it is Ethan Strand. Gave up his own ambitions in the mile to run for his team in the DMR. Got beat by Clark Kent there in the glasses, Gary Martin, and they reverse the finish from yesterday today in the 3,000 meters.
But look at how much respect there was among those guys, the immediate embrace between them, because they know they've made each other better. They've pushed each other to get to this point. Ethan Strand was phenomenal, 25.4 for that last 200 meters. 55 for the last 400. He was out for redemption coming off of the distance medley relay. This is the event where he owns the collegiate record, and he proves exactly why.
So Ethan Strand of North Carolina holding off Gary Martin to win the 3,000 meter title here at the NCAA Championships, and he is with John downstairs.
All right, Ethan, you come in, you've got the record in the mile, you got the record in the 3,000, but now you're in actually a race for a championship race, and it's not a speed thing. How do you handle that?
I mean, that's what I've been waiting for 3.5 years, is to get into a race like that where it's a little slow and we really wind it up, and that's what I've prided myself on since high school, and to get the opportunity to do that in the NCAA final is awesome.
So last night, DMR, Gary's behind you. Here he goes. We reverse it in this one. How's it feel when you went by him?
Oh, I mean, I had to hold myself back. I wanted to go a little earlier, and I knew exactly what happened last night. I didn't want to repeat of that, and I let him go first and latch right on just like he did last night. And I mean, it's a battle. It's a battle.
Congratulations, Ethan Strand.
Thank you.
3,000 meter champion.
Thank you.
Well, the triple jump, the last field event of these championships concluded. This is Jonathan Saramez, the sophomore from Missouri, through France. He won the SEC Indoor Championships, and you know what? You might as well just turn around and win the NCAA Championships on the sixth and final round. He had a raucous crowd behind him down there on that end of the stadium. Look at the stretch, look at the finish into the sand. And these guys know when they've hit a big one in the sixth round. He goes 55-11 for a personal best and a national championship victory. Nebraska and Oklahoma would finish second and third.
So let's take a look at the men's standings with just one event remaining. It is tight. USC with a 2-point lead over Auburn, but Auburn does not have a 4x400 relay, so they're maxed out on points, but Arkansas does. And both USC and Arkansas are on this third section, 4 points separating them. And we can talk about the math on that as the race develops. Here are the records. USC holds the meet record set in College Station in 2018 with Ry Benjamin and Michael Norman on that team. And then Texas A&M. They have the fastest time in the country this year. There is USC. They will start in lane number 3.
Well, I think William Jones, who's leading off here, he was the guy that they missed the most last year at the conference meet, the national championship meet. They were 7th last year in this 4x4, but we've got to be careful. They were disqualified in the Big Ten championship meet when they had a shoulder bump with the champion Purdue. And there is Arkansas. Stephen McElroy has been leading off all season long here for the Razorback. And there's Ahmad Robinson. He'll lead off for the Texas A&M Aggies. He led off at the SEC Championships as well. Kind of played cat and mouse with a couple of guys in that race, but Texas A&M ultimately was able to come away with the victory at the SEC Championships. And there's Florida Gators Haven't said much about them at these championships. A lot of athletes graduated through. They've been struggling with some injuries, but as a point of pride, here they are in the 4x400 meter relay.
Come in with the second fastest seed time, just so that you know, the difference between Arkansas and Southern Cal on seed times just 6/100ths of a second, and USC ran their time at altitude in Albuquerque. So USC has some breathing room. They don't have to win it. 4-point lead going in here.
Set.
From the inside, USC, then Arkansas, Texas A&M, fastest team in the country, and then Florida on the outside.
Well, William Jones is an athlete there for USC on the inside in the dark uniform. He's a guy who likes to build momentum through a 400 meters. Takes him a little while to get going, but you cannot wait in an indoor 400 meters. You're going to get too far behind it. Passing one person, sometimes not such an issue. Oh, and then we got bumping immediately, and that was Ahmad Robinson and Stephen McElroy who went at it. Well, Arkansas and Texas A&M, and Arkansas came out on the bad end of the stick on that one.
That's disastrous for Arkansas, as Ahmad Robinson trying to put some distance between himself and Florida and USC. Texas A&M will pass first from Robinson to Hussam Hatib. But in hot pursuit, USC, Garrett Kaland, who we saw in the open 400. And for Florida, Ashton Schwartzman.
Well, we saw Calland. We did see Calland in the 200 meters. He gets off to a quick start, and as a coach, you're just like, he's back, find your tempo.
Florida now into the lead with a little bumping there. It's always tough to pass on the curve. You got to make it decisive. And USC back into the lead, going down the backstretch.
Well, it's not always necessary to be sharing that same lane as well. And here in the finals, in the last race of the day, you've just got to be careful. Get the baton around. That's first and foremost.
And A&M passes first. Antoine Norquilla from South Africa now in the lead for the Aggies. Again, this is a point of pride for the team from College Station. That fastest time in the country this year. Multiple 4x400 national championship trophies over the years. For USC, this is Jacob Andrews. And for Florida, Malik Smith-Band. And the outgoing runner anchors weren't even on the track, except for Texas A&M. Johnny Blockberger of USC gets into first place. He had to come from off the track as he saw his teammate coming down the last 50 meters. They were seeing that Arkansas was just sort of jogging it in, didn't think there was another lap. They thought there was another lap left to run. Johnny Blockberger for USC. And for Texas A&M, it's Kamar Farquharson.
Well, and I was slightly confused as well because I saw those athletes taking the last turn heading for home, and there was nobody out there to receive those batons as Johnny Blockberger stumbles just a little bit. That's an official's mistake. They needed to herd those athletes out there in position, as USC is going to take the victory in this heat, but they're not going to win the 4x4 championship.
So Georgia and Texas Tech and Arizona State all running faster than USC did, but it's really of no matter because Arkansas will get no points in the 4x400 after that collision and a dropped baton early in this final section. Wait a few minutes to get the results combined, but Georgia was leading with 3:03.44. Three teams under 3:04, and USC just barely broke 3:05. All right, so let's take a look at the contact, and we'll have to wait to see if there's any trouble, if there's a card of any kind or a protest of any kind. But look at this, Ahmad Robinson leaning into Stephen McElroy for the pole position. And TV takes the speed out of everything. You do not realize how fast these guys are running.
Well, and Ahmad Robinson.
And then watch this.
Yeah. Here we go. It's like, where are the runners? The officials need to parade them out. Johnny Blockberger was not in position, but I think it was because Arkansas was so far behind, it threw everybody off just a little bit.
Let's watch it at normal speed. There's Ahmad Robinson with the glasses. He thinks he has the pole cleanly. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. We'll have to see what the officials say. They end up finishing second in that section, running much slower than normal for Texas A&M at a championship. You see Coach Quincy Watts celebrating. Maybe he knows something we aren't absolutely certain of. If they pull this off, it's the first time they win the indoor NCAA title since 1972. So there are the combined results. The teams from the second section, Georgia, Texas Tech, and Arizona State, take the top 3 spots. Then USC. Fourth place is worth 5 points, but Arkansas got no points. So if those results stand, USC has won the men's team title here in Virginia Beach. So there are several different camps here. There's the Arkansas camp that says, hey, we were fouled. Well, we had one of the best times in the country. We were fouled, knocked out of the race by Texas A&M. We want a rerun. And there's Coach Chris Bucknam cajoling head referee Ed Gorman on the right there with the glasses. And John was standing right to the outside of that. John, what did you hear?
Dwight, you're right on the point. There's 2 protests. The first one, Texas A&M will be disqualified from the race. They are expected to re-protest. That will go away because they've already lost the initial one. Arkansas now would like to rerun their race by themselves. Ed Gorman, as the referee, says, I am not allowed to make that decision. I just adjudicate what happens on the track. Arkansas has called the NCAA now in an effort to get a rerun. So that's where we are, waiting for the NCAA now to make a decision on if the Hogs get a chance to go out on the track on their own and run a time. Dwight?
Well, a little bit surprisingly, that is the Arkansas men's 4x400 relay warming up in anticipation of getting a ruling that they will rerun the race by themselves. Dan, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
I was going to say there's a first time for everything. A rerun. We certainly saw the women in the 4x100 meter relay in Rio, but that was a different race completely. But yeah, Dwight, there's a first time for everything. Is it possible that they could get a rerun? Maybe. Chris Bucknam's fighting for his team, but it's an unfortunate incident. I think Arkansas is just they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They don't get to complete that race. They may not score any points in the 4x4.
All right, we'll step aside and hopefully have a decision soon when we come back. Arkansas men's head coach Chris Bucknam giving the no-go sign. They had protested what happened in the 4x4. They asked the NCAA for a rerun, and they've just been told that that is not going to happen, which seems an obvious decision. And Quincy Watts clapping, getting the news. His USC Trojans are now officially the team champions for the first time in 53 years. So they will be receiving the winner's trophy. And Coach Bucknam goes over and addresses his team and lets them know about the decision.
We're going to respect the official's decision. Okay, appreciate how hard everybody competed. We're going to congratulate SC and the other teams, and we're going to move on to the outdoor season. But hey, it was a great fight. We gave it our best shot. We're always going to advocate on our behalf the best we can. It was an unfortunate situation. The meet was right there with us. I mean, it was going to happen. We had a great shot at it, but it didn't happen. It didn't come to fruition. So it wasn't the only reason, right? There are other things. There are other ways we could have got some points. So we'll respect the officials, understand that we're on the podium, and we're going to move on to the outdoor season, all right? Okay, bring it in. We're going to get our 4th place trophy, and we're going to congratulate those guys. Hogs on 3. 1, 2, 3, Hogs!
All right, so a class move by Coach Bucknam. We would expect nothing else. So here are the team standings. Final, USC with 39 points. Georgia ends up second after that victory in the 4x400. Auburn third, and Arkansas fourth. Not the place they expected to be, and the coach was right. They lost a lot of other points other places. But now it's time for John and the presentation to the champions.
Thank you to White Stones. Our thanks to the folks here at Virginia Beach for staying. I feel like I'm the guy at the airline counter. We appreciate your patience. In just 5 more minutes, we're going to board and everything will be just fine. At this time, we would like to present the championship trophy. Finally, Cody Brosek from the NCAA's Track and Field Committee to the champion, head coach Quincy Watts of USC.
Coach Watts, on behalf of the NCAA Sports Committee and all of our member institutions, congratulations to you and the USC Trojans.
Thank you. So, if you haven't won this championship since 1972 or any national championship since these, like, what's another hour to hang around and wait and get your trophy? The importance of having the shield out front again.
Yeah, well, that's what we live. That's what we live about. That's our motto: shield out front. And just in these times right now, we've been dealing with adversity all year long. And I'm so proud of these student athletes. It's just another opportunity to wait another hour to deal with some adversity. But they were gritty, they've grinded, and they're just great human beings. And just so proud of them.
So these things never go like they're supposed to. You find points someplace, you lose points everywhere, here and there. Where was the key for you over these 2 days that allowed you to be holding that?
The key was just everybody. We had scoring opportunities in multiple events, but even when we had a little adversity, we still found a way to score. We still found a way to score in every event. So they're gritty. I just love this team. They never gave up. They just kept on. Y'all good back there?
Oh, I'm watching them.
They just kept fighting. That's what we do at USC. We fight on. So, if we had a little adversity in this particular event area, we just as a team collectively, we didn't get rattled, right? We didn't even get rattled with the protest just now. We knew we were the winners. We knew we were number one.
Fight on. There it is. I'm getting out of the way while you get soaked. Quincy Watts, USC, the champs.
Victory bath for Coach Watts as we transition to the women's team standings. It ended up being sort of a runaway for Oregon. They win it by 16 over Georgia with a lot of second place finishes, and of course Vilma Nielsen, the champion in the mile. Now it's time to go downstairs for the women's presentation and John Anderson.
There's some excited Oregon Ducks behind me right here. Thank you, Virginia Beach. Thank you, Norfolk State University, for hosting this fantastic meet over the last 2 days. I know we have more to come, but in this case, we're going to celebrate the women's champion. Karina Handelin is here from the NCAA's Track and Field Committee to give the trophy to Coach Jerry Schumacher of the Oregon Ducks.
Thank you. On behalf of the NCAA, I'd like to recognize Coach Jerry Schumacher and the Oregon Ducks on winning the 2025 championship. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll pull you in here. They seem like an excitable group.
Yeah, it's an excitable group.
I mean, you have so many, you win the meet, tons of second place finishes, you get points from everywhere. I just need to know how you thought it went in piecing this thing together over the last 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, we knew we had, a lot of pieces in different events, but you have to get to the finals first. So we took day one and just said we got to make sure we're ready for day two. And once we got to day two, we knew that if we started off hot, we could just keep squeezing. And they exceeded our form charts the entire way. So, yeah, it worked out great.
You have coached Olympians. You've coached a men's cross-country national championship. What's it like to coach this group of women to a title?
This is a special group. They have been so fired up this entire season. I think they felt that this was a possibility. But, again, you have to get through the season, and you have to get to the meet and be able to perform. And, like I said, they exceeded all of our expectations, and this is just a wonderful group.
So we know the history of Oregon Ducks track and field. With this 8th victory, the University of Oregon indoor women are the most decorated team in the history of the university. Men of Oregon, great. The women are better. Right?
All right, that will wrap it up from Virginia Beach. Congratulations to the men's team champion USC Trojans, women's team champions Oregon Ducks, and all 34 individual event champions.